So here's the situation. I was out here with my forestry mulcher, finishing up this last spot on this slope. This slope is about 20 degrees, which is fine for a tracked machine. It had rained a couple days before, so the ground was a little moist, but I wasn't having any problems with traction. What I'm going to do here today is try to demonstrate how to get a machine. So this is a T770. The machine itself is 10,500 pounds. It's got a mulching head on it, which is about 2,200 pounds. So that's a little over 12,000 pounds. So when you're stuck in the mud or get yourself in a bind in your forestry mulching, I'm going to try to get it out how you get it out by yourself without any other equipment. So I'll go through this, show you some of the stuff that I have to get myself out, and hopefully this will be helpful to other people. Now it's been about two and a half years since I've been stuck, and there's a good reason for that, because getting stuck is pretty painful, can be pretty painful, and it takes some effort to get out. So the first rule about getting stuck is avoiding getting stuck. So it's about recognizing the situations that you're getting yourself into and avoiding those situations, whether it's mud. Now this machine with these tracks has a ground pressure of about 4.7 pounds per square inch. So I actually compared that to footprint, my footprint, and my weight. So the square inches of my feet and my weight comes out to about 4.2 pounds per square inch. So whenever I'm working in an area that appears muddy or soft, I'll walk the area, and if I'm sinking into the ground, it's too soft to put a machine in. Working on slopes adds some other challenges because the degree of slope, and this is about a 20-degree slope, somewhere between 16 and 20 degrees. The weight of the machine at some point, due to physics, is just going to want to slide down a hill. So I've been on slopes on dry ground about 40-45 degrees with this machine just to check it out. That's not an operating condition I normally tell customers I want to get into. I normally limit myself to 20 to 25 degree slopes. You don't have to be a hero when you're clearing property for people. If this machine can't get on it, they're not going to get on it with a tractor to mow it or use the ground. So there's no point in pushing yourself and getting yourself in a bad situation. So what happened here was I was coming down this slope, I was having good traction, I had no track slippage. But what I got onto was a flat rock. And here's the flat rock. So I got on top of this and I slid off of it. And I slid down, and there happened to be a tree here. So I can't back up and I can't go forward. And of course there's a steeper slope in front that I can't get down. So I looked at the first thing, I want to go forward. Can I mulch any material out that's blocking me in front? This tree is about, looks to be about 18 inches. I was going to chainsaw it out, but it's leaning directly backward over my machine, so I don't want to risk that. So I've got to get the machine back, or I have to bring the back end of the machine sideways. So and again, I tried a few times to get out of this, but I was backing up against that rock, so I could move back about 2 feet until I got to the rock, and then the tracks were slipping. I tried to pivot the back end this way. You can see I pushed, the ground here was soft, and I was pushing up dirt, so that's just adding more resistance. So one of the things about being stuck is to remember, if you're spinning your tracks, you're digging yourself deeper. What you don't want to do is get the bottom of the machine grounded out up on the dirt or the mud, because it just makes it that much more difficult to get the machine out of it. So this is a look at the other side. The ground is still a little slick. You can see on this side I didn't get my tracks buried at all, but you see that rock is when I get back there about 18 inches or so, I get up against a rock and I can't get over it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try a couple things. I've got like 3 plans to go. I'm going to do the easiest, least amount of labor first. So normally when you get stuck, I got stuck going forward, so I'm going to try to get myself unstuck going backwards, but I need traction. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do, I brought some 4x4s with me, and the 4x4s do fit under here, so I'm going to strap these to my track to give me this amount of traction. I'm going to do this on both sides. And then I have some 2x12s by 5 feet long, and I'm going to stick them like this underneath my track. So when a 4x4 goes under, hopefully I'll get to go back and climb up on the 2x12, and it'll give me a surface, a flatter surface to get up over that rock. What I'm also going to do, because I don't like to do one thing at a time, I want this to get done in the first attempt. So I also have a farm jack with me, and this track is clear pretty much. So I'm going to jack up the machine. I've got a chainsaw. I'm going to cut down some smaller trees like this, cut them in about 2 foot lengths, and stick them underneath my tracks on both sides, just so I'm off. This is clay, so I want to get off the clay, have a little bit of traction. So when my 4x4 cuts in, I've already got some traction. I want my 4x4 to cut in and dig in, and I want to get up on my 2x12. So that's my plan for right now, and we'll see how it goes. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prep this area a little bit. I'll see if I can get that, how big that rock is. Maybe I can get that rock out of the way and it won't be an issue. But you always want to at least clear a nice kind of even ramp, whether you're going backwards or forwards. I'm going to go back here today. You want to clear out the obstacles in the direction that you're going so you don't get hung up. If I start spinning the tracks at all and I'm not getting traction and that attempt isn't working, I'm going to stop before I make things worse, and I'm going to go to plan B. Hopefully we won't need plan B. Okay. Okay, so I got these 2x4s strapped on through the opening here around both sides of the 4x4. Now I'll get my shoring. Okay, so here's what I got. I dug out the sides of my tracks, put some logs underneath each side with a jacked it up, put the stuff under, jacked it down. Got the 4x4 strapped to the tracks. Hopefully those straps will hold. They're rated for 2,000 pounds, but we'll see. I've got shoring underneath both tracks, so when I get some momentum, hopefully I'll get some bite from those 4x4s and get up on my tracks, get up over this rock on the right side. My plan is to come over this way if I get some traction, and then come back down here onto this flat and head out that way. So here we go. So there you have it. Machine is out. Took a little bit of shoveling. This was apparently a little bit of a drainage area. See a lot of water built up in there. So when it came down, it just sunk right into this mud. It was unseeable. I mean, it didn't look like mud or anything since it was so sloped, but obviously it was pretty saturated clay. So I was able to get up over that rock, slide it sideways. You can see as I start to pivot, it just wants to push up more dirt. But at least I was able to get out from being pinned by this tree, which was a good thing. So sacrificed those $15 worth of straps, which was not a problem. A little bit of wood, it's not a problem. So recover the machine, I'll be able to get out of here no problem. The only reason I stopped here was to get my Ranger out of the way. But there you have it. When you get stuck again, the kind of learning point to take away from this is no matter what you see on YouTube about doing handstands and nose stands, and when you have a forestry mulcher, you don't have a bucket on the front to help push yourself out. Sometimes you're just pinned. But just remember, when you're spinning tracks, you're digging a hole. And the deeper the hole you dig, the more shoveling you're going to have to do. And just like this, it's wet clay. Wet clay isn't any fun to shovel. So there you have it. Success. Time for a victory cigar. Woo-hoo! And by the way, just to finish that up, to give you an idea, from the time I got all my equipment up here, it took me, I didn't time myself, but it took me about an hour and a half. And, you know, I moved methodically and slowly. So if you're a young buck, you can do some shoveling a little quicker, throw your stuff around. I ended up not using my farm jack because I couldn't get it stable enough. I tried it once and it slipped out as it sank into the mud when I got weight on it. So I had a 4-ton hydraulic jack with me, luckily, and put a 2x4 under that, and that gave it enough stability that it was no problem to jack up the back of the machine. But just to go over real quick some of the things I use. These are things I carry with me in my truck or on my trailer. So I do carry my farm jack with me all the time. And this is a 4-ton. I believe it's 4-ton. I always carry my chainsaw with me. You work in the woods, so there's resources in the woods to use, like trees to put under your tracks, trees to cut down if you have to cross wet streams or something like that, to build a little shoring, you know, to ride your tracks over, or if you're pinned against trees. Normally on slopes it's a little more risky to slide, you know, down slope and get pinned on a tree. So it's easy just to, if your mulcher, if it's not in front of you with your mulcher, bring a chainsaw to cut it down. I bring my spade with me all the time. I brought a pick with me. I don't normally carry my pick, but I thought maybe I'd get on that rock that was there, but I didn't even want to deal with the rock. I don't usually carry this big 2x4 or 4x4, but I normally carry at least 2 4x4s with me. I want to tell you a little trick, if you don't know this, about trailers. I always carry these 4x4s with me because I had a flat on my trailer one time, and bottle jacks just aren't big enough. I do carry my farm jack with me, which is able to jack up the trailer when it gets a flat tire with the Bobcat on it. But that's a little more higher risk, I think. So what I do is, I was carrying these 4x4s. I cut them at an angle. So I have 2 axles in the back, so I have 4 wheels. So if I get a flat on one of the tires, I'll put a 4x4 underneath it. Now I use 6x6s. But anyway, I got a flat a couple of months ago, and I had my 4x4s with me with this. It's about a 30-degree cut on it. So I just roll the good wheel up on it, whether I'm backing up or pulling the trailer forward, and get the good tire up on this. So get your flat tire up off the ground, that you're able to change it. I found that this 4x4 was fine to get a flat tire off, but it was about 1 inch short trying to get a aired up tire on the back because they hang because of the suspension. So I put it up the extra inch and a half or whatever with my farm jack. But since then I've gone to 6x6s and cut the angle on them. So I do carry with me in my truck, these are 2x12s, and what I did is just got a 2x12x10, cut them in half, and I bought 2 of them, so I carry 4 of these. And what I use these for are things like this when I need some traction, when I'm stuck. But again, I haven't been stuck in 2.5 years because I stay out of those situations. But if I'm like fording small streams or something like that, I'll basically just build a bridge with whatever it takes, 2 or 4 of these to track over, just so I'm not sinking into the bottom of a creek. What else do I have here? Some other things I carry Sorry about the video. It's a little impromptu. But other things that I do carry, I carry, you know, the 10,000 pound straps. I think these are 3,300 pound straps. Carry two of those. I carry a lot of turnbuckles. I got a couple of tree savers. There's more turnbuckles. And then I carry a big heavy duty winch. This has the am steel on it, and it also has a pulley. And I've got a snatch block to get some extra leverage, but this is the pulley that comes with this. So this is rated at this am steel rope. It's got some pros and cons to it. I like it because there's 50 feet of rope on here. It's easy to work with and pull out, and you know, I can stick it around the pulley. Again, it's 6 tons, or up to 6 tons. But if you put the pulley on it and loop it around and hook this to your bobcat, hook the other hook to a tree or something like that with a pre-saver strap, you can pull up to 12,000 pounds with it. So that's good. Some people use chain come-alongs, which are fine. Cable, just make sure that they're rated for what you got. And again, I carry an extra snatch block, and this is a 1/2-inch snatch block. I also, on my trailer, I carry a 1/2-inch steel, like logging cable. It's 25 foot long, and it's got an eye loop on one end. Well, it's got an eye loop on both ends, but the one end I put a hook on it, and the other loop end I put on a turnbuckle on my cutter if I ever need to drag stuff. So these are some of the kind of recovery equipment that I carry. And well, I've only gotten, I think, stuck twice. Once was a really bad time. This is when I was first starting my first year, about 4.5 years ago now, or 4 years ago. I was on a slope about 30 degrees, and it was concave, so it kept getting steeper and steeper, which was fine. Working my way down. But at some point, gravity takes over, you know, 12,000 pound machine. And I caught a wet spot just like this that was kind of unseen. I'm always aware of, like, when I'm cutting down a hill and I go to back up, if I get any slippage on my track, that's done. I'm done with that area and I get out of there. But the first time I got stuck, it was on a slope like this. It was probably 30 degrees and it was working fine, but I did hit a wet spot. I actually slid about 10 or 15 feet, got pinned up against some trees, and it was a really bad situation. And the hill just kept on getting steeper. I couldn't cut my way down the hill because it went down into a big stream. But luckily, a neighbor had a bulldozer. A neighbor came over with a D6 and pulled my machine out. But that was a learning point for me, to where I just limit myself, and I tell customers I limit myself to like 20, 25 degrees. And that's just a practical slope anyway, because they're going to want to do something with it, like mow it or make pasture out of it or whatever, but they're going to want to maintain it with a bush hog. So once you start getting too steep, it's just not practical for them to even maintain with a tractor. So I limit myself to 20, 25 degrees now and keep myself out of situations like that. I'm trying to think of the second time I got stuck, and it was a while ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, and I just got stuck in mud. As an operator, these tracks float great. You can drive across somebody's lawn and barely make a mark in them. But the problem you get into if you're in soft ground, it is fine to go forward and backwards when you're cutting, but as soon as you pivot, you kind of break that surface that hard surface, and it gets wetter underneath, at least here in Tennessee where there's clay. And once you break that surface, you're done. And it turned out to be a little bit like that. Kind of broke the surface, and then you get into where all the moisture is underneath, and it's just soup. And of course, it was my first time getting stuck in just mud, so I did like everybody else, kind of work it forward, back, and I dug myself in a hole until I got you know, stuck in the mud up to the bottom of the machine. But I did use this come along and a shovel. And again, the takeaway is, if your tracks are spinning, you're digging a hole. If you're digging a hole, you got to shove yourself out of the hole. So don't dig a hole. But that's what I ended up doing that time I got stuck in the mud. It was just a lot of shovel work to where I could get stuff under the tracks. I dug out the back and then stuck logs on both sides. I cut logs, would stick them in. I couldn't get the front out of the mud because I was in the soup and a jack wouldn't have worked. So I'd stick them in, I'd get in, I'd roll the track, kind of pull the logs forward a little bit and keep feeding pieces of logs in there. And of course I had to dig my, you know, a little ramp out that was suitable to get out of. So it probably took me 3 hours to get out that time, and that's how come I've never been stuck since, because it just you know, it just really sucks. And so this is some of the equipment that I carry for self recovery. A lot of times when you work on farms, there are, you know, farmers sometimes do have tractors, but again, as another technique, and this even goes for maintenance and everything, when you're cutting yourself into a job site, always cut your way in from an access area in case you need help, in case you need a service truck, in case you need somebody to come in with a tractor. You can't go cutting trails and doing crazy things and to where someone else doesn't have the room to get in there and follow you. So if you ever watch any of my videos, I kind of work my way in depths. Maybe if I'm cutting out a square area, I'll cut in, say, 25 feet and work my way across and then just go down rows. So I always have open area behind me just in case some other kind of breakdowns or mechanical stuff. But that's an operator kind of technique. But there you go. That's self-recovery for a 12,000 pound machine in the mud by yourself, without any assistance, I could have pulled myself out with this Polaris probably. There's a 1000 cc. I could have probably pulled the back with a snatch block and pulled it over and turned myself, but I'm not always going to have the machine. I'm not always going to have a ranger with me or other people helping me. So I just wanted to show that you can do this by yourself. So I hope you learned something. And there you go. Hope my lenses were clear on this video too. So thanks, and good luck to you guys out there.